Human beings love a good routine. Don't pretend you don't. Think of the times you've been watching sports and holding your magic cushion has resulted in good things happening for your team. From that point on, you never let go of the damn thing. It is positive reinforcement essentially, and wrestlers are no different, especially when they're putting themselves in high-pressured situations. Pretty sure that means we're not meant to talk about it, but hey-ho, we're gonna. But my name is Simon from What Culture. Please do hit that subscribe button. This is 10 wrestling rituals you didn't know about. Number 10, John Cena keeps it minty. He hustles, he's loyal, and he flippin' loves a tic-tac. Whether this was a ritual or just something he did to be nice to his opponent, John Cena would make sure he had lovely breath before he got into any match. What a guy. But during an appearance on the Kelly Clarkson show, Cena talked about all of this and that it wasn't uncommon for him to go through 3 boxes pre-match, which as he himself admitted wasn't great, because that is a hell of a lot of calories and a hell of a lot of sugar. No wonder he seems so buzzed. This isn't all though. Cena also bangs on a lot of wood, talks to himself, and really weirdly drinks out of other people's water bottles. Bet he didn't do that one before he became a massive star. Imagine grabbing the Undertaker's beverage and glutting it down. He would kill ya. Number 9, Booker T's meditation and Red Bull. That's quite the combo, right? Calm yourself down and then send your adrenal glands crazy. Probably how he did all those spinneroonies. But indeed, much like Rob Van Dam, Booker T would find his inner peace before a match, as he would locate a quiet corner and just mentally unwind. What followed were some calisthenics to also help him limber up, and then bam, you neck 2 cans of Red Bull, and your body probably has no idea what's going on. Now this does sound crazy, but let's be fair, the 5-time WCW champion had a ridiculous career, which ended with a Hall of Fame induction, so it must have done something for him. Number 8, Goldberg and walls. Goldberg and intensity go hand in hand like me and having no hair. They are forever synced, and all you gotta do is find an interview from one of his peers to hear about how wired up the guy was. Bill sent himself to another level before storming to the ring. It was all sparked by the fact that Goldberg totally bought into his character to the point that when he was in the squared circle, it was all in or nothing. For example, he knocked himself out at Halloween Havoc 1998 when he took on DDP simply because he charged at him too hard. Not sure what kind of shape that left Diamond Dallas Page in, like a bull. This started long before the match though, because Goldberg would also headbutt doors and whatever else he could find backstage, and as we know today, that wasn't always the best idea. On occasion, Bill would knock himself silly before he'd even done his entrance. Sheesh. I suppose you can't fault him because he was like a maniac in there, but still, don't smash your skull into concrete. It's not what your body was built for. Number 7, R-Truth takes a drive. Given that he is an athlete, R-Truth sticks to the usuals before a match. He stretches, listens to music, mentally prepares, and then he gets in his car and he goes for a drive. Right. Talking about it during an interview with the Shreveport Times, Truth talked about how he had done this for 17 years while also cranking up the volume of his tunes. He had an eclectic ear too. He likes everything from Hank Williams to Marilyn Manson. Why the hell not? Now the reason we should all be doing this is because R-Truth doesn't age. He looks exactly the same now as he did 20 years ago, so we all need to copy that somehow. And he is almost 50 years old and probably looks about 24. Number 6, Abby and his wallet. Abdullah the Butcher was an interesting chap. Terrifying in the ring with no consideration for his own safety, Jim Cornette once explained what Abby did not only before a match, but during a match and after too. In Corny's own words, he would take a bandana or cloth and he would wrap that around his wallet. Then he would take these heavy rubber bands and wrap them around the cloth. Then he would stick the wallet in the cloth in his back brace. Then he'd pull his butcher pants up over the top of those and then go to the ring. Furthermore, when Butcher was done wrestling with a wallet stuffed down his ass, he would still get it out and make sure nobody had taken any of his cash. How anyone would have done that, I don't know. Magic? And who would try this too? Abdullah liked nothing more than taking a fork and stabbing it into people's heads, and he weighed 400 pounds. You gonna rob this guy when there's also every chance you could be put in the ring with him down the line? You'd have to be mad. Number 5, AJ Lee and her cut-up t-shirts. If you're into arts and crafts, you know that there's something soothing about just sitting down, cutting and creating. Who knows why, the brain is a funny thing, but AJ Lee got this though and made sure it was part of her routine. Revealed in a WWE.com piece when Lee was doing her thing with Big E and Dolph Ziggler, AJ talked about how she would do exactly this before matches, not only for aesthetics purposes, but because it helped her focus on what was going to happen later. I like to think it was during one of these sessions when she made the decision to spark the women's wrestling revolution into life, which did eventually happen. Numerous times AJ Lee would be thrown into random 3-minute matches, and she got sick of it because it's not not exactly the best way to prove your talents. Number 4, Mick Foley and Tori Amos. Even though he came across as utterly fearless, Mick Foley was only human and would suffer from pre-match nerves. You can't blame him. Imagine knowing your work for the evening was being thrown off the top of Hell in a Cell. Doesn't really sound like fun. So when it all became a little too much for Foley, he would look to one of his favourite music artists, and that was none other than Tori Amos. As Mick has talked about a lot in interviews, it was during his Japanese days where he first heard Tori's haunting vocals, and it meant while many a wrestler was head back into hard rock, he was going in a very different direction. If you'd like to replicate this too, download the track Winter and then pretend you're Mick before he had a death match against Terry Funk in Japan, and when he was getting ready for his 2004 Backlash Hardcore bout against Randy Orton. Number 3, Ric Flair goes all Ric Flair. Even if you're a casual fan of wrestling, you probably know that Ric Flair lived his gimmick. The Nature Boy wasn't just an idea, it was him through and through. What makes it even more incredible is that despite his ritual, he still went on to become the best of all time. As the man himself told Steve Austin though, when it came to taping his wrists, he would only use Johnson & Johnson tape, and he would only ever use a Gillette blade to hide in that for as and when he had to cut his own head open. The more niche part is that Flair would also give his mobile phone to the referee in case any women rang. What he exactly planned to do with this, I don't know. Maybe the ref was instructed to take messages, and let's face it, you never know with Ric Flair. Throw in all of his post-match routines too, which was just staying up all night and partying, and Flair was one of a kind. I don't get how he did it. Number 2, the butt-slapping Bellas. Back to WWE.com and Nikki and Brie Bella. As well as a lot of meditation and prayer, their pre-match ritual takes quite the turn, as they then decided to slap each other on the ass. Tying into how well they know each other, right down to whether they're confident or nervous, the final thing they will do is kiss each other on the cheek, and then take a hand and whoop butt quite literally. There would also be words of encouragement, and then it was time for business. Today, both Bellas have retired to start families, but you know what wrestling is like. You never say never, and given how young they still are, once their children are a little older, you wouldn't bet against them coming back. Whether they will still slap each other on the ass, well, I'm hoping that we will never know. Number 1, pre-match jokes and post-match smokes for Jon Moxley. When you see Jon Moxley in front of the camera in a wrestling ring, he is one of the most intense wrestlers in the game right now. He's totally believable, you think that he could whip your ass, and also he just has some babyface qualities where you're desperate for him to see win. But how does the former AEW World Champion come down from a rush thanks to a rampant crowd? Well, he likes to celebrate a good night at the office by getting a hit of tobacco. Kind of oddly, given that he is an athlete, Jon Moxley has been reported to have been a smoker throughout most of his career. As you can see in this photo here though, that was taken at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 3 event, not only is Moxley dragging back on a cigarette, but he's also ready to drink a hefty bottle of Jack Daniels, because that's just what he does. He obviously needs to get in the right state of mind before he steps into a wrestling ring too, which is why it's been documented that throughout most of his WWE career, he would crack jokes to himself before his matches, and sometimes even laugh out loud. I guess they do say that laughter is said to be the best medicine, and let's face it, if Vince McMahon saw all of this, no wonder he turned him into the lunatic fringe. Know of any other wrestling rituals that nobody else may know about? Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter, WhatCultureWWE, and watch more videos here on Vad Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll talk to you again soon.